Hello, how's it going? Hold on, there's my hand. Okay, I'm back. Um, my name's Keith. I am your meditation teacher on this channel, Meditation Breaks. And on this channel, we focus on meditating, as you might have guessed. Um, here, this channel is kind of, I like to think of it as a cookbook of meditation. So everyone connects with different styles of meditation, different analogies used in meditation. And the goal here is to kind of put forth a lot of different ways of thinking about meditation, of practicing it. That way you can find something that clicks with you, right? Hey, Norma. So each week we kind of focus on a theme and how that theme relates to meditation, how meditation can like help us understand it and whatnot. Um, but if you are brand new, which each week we have, which is amazing, we have tons of brand new people, and you're like, hey, I don't really know about meditation, so I don't know. Am I in the right spot? I don't know about doing the themes on it if I haven't ever done it, period. Do not worry. I start each week with a introduction to what meditation is, how does it work, why bother doing this thing, and then we're going to do a short breathing meditation together and to kind of get everyone situated. And then we'll talk about our topic and do another meditation to kind of close things out. So no matter if this is the first time you've ever meditated, you're a seasoned meditation veteran, this is a great spot for you. Last thing I'll say before we get started is, hey, Wanda, is if you at any point in the next hour with me have a question or something comes to mind, or sometimes I do mumble, so maybe you need me to repeat something, whatever, you can always use the chat feature here. It's the best way to get my attention. I usually try to be pretty diligent about looking at it. You don't have to wait for me to say, are there questions? It's question time, all right? And if that's something that's you're not comfortable with, or I don't know, you think of something after the class is over, I will give everyone my email. You can always email me anything that comes up as you're meditating on your own. Okay, cool. Great. So, what is this meditation thing? It's kind of cool that even if you've never done it, we all have kind of an idea of what it is. And, a number of years ago, that might have not been the case, but it's kind of become more at the forefront of things. And this idea of what it is, it can be also kind of thought of as what is our generic image of meditation. So your mind, powerful as it is, if I were to say, think of an apple, your mind is like apple, and it's like you're kind of picturing an apple. You're not like, oh yeah, okay, so it's red and then there's the stem. You're not doing that because your mind is so freaking fast. But your mind is kind of like recalling a generic image of an apple, right? The same is true with this idea of what is meditation. And our generic image of meditation almost ubiquitously is what? The emoji. Somebody sitting cross-legged on the floor like this. They have their legs crossed, but in like a way that looks very painful. And that's the image that you will get if you Google meditation. It will. I don't know if you'll find anything else, right? And this kind of seating position is a seating position that is used in a lot of traditions for meditation, but it is not a prerequisite for meditating. At least in my opinion, my understanding of this, and that's a real good thing, because if in order to meditate we had to sit cross-legged on the floor with our legs in that weird kind of orientation, um, not everyone's going to be able to do that. Heck, I can't. Yeah. And so, well, that would be pretty limiting, and we wouldn't all be able to meditate, I guess, if we had to sit like that. Fortunately for us, meditation comes from here, our mind. And so on this channel, the definition that I like to kind of use to define like what meditation is it is a technique that you can use to become really familiar with stuff. And why would you want to become familiar with stuff? Great question. And we don't have to look too far to find an answer, because we people, humans, you, me, everyone, are constantly becoming familiar with things each and every day, right? We don't really think of it in that way, but throughout our day, we're making tons of connections. Oh, this is something I like. Oh, that was not really a nice thing to say. These, like, we're becoming familiar with, like, oh, I shouldn't say that. Oh, this is something that impacts me. It's kind of a hard definition to get behind, like on a mental like state, like mental familiarity, because it's not really something that we say. I'm familiarizing my mind with where the lemons are in the grocery store. We don't say that. Be kind of funny. But that's exactly what we do when we go to the grocery store. If lemons, I don't know why I picked that. We can look at physical familiarity, which is a little bit more tangible for us to kind of use as an example. And then extrapolate that into mental familiarity, which is mostly what we're concentrating on with meditation. So you are an absolute expert at tying your shoe. You're the best. I don't know. I've never seen you do it, and you got to be the best. All right. There's a pretty good chance that you are extremely well versed in tying your shoe, barring some sort of physical ailment that prevents you from doing so. And if I were to ask you, hey, you, can you tie your shoe? You'd be like, hey, they're already tied. And I'd be like, well, can you untie them and tie them again? And you would do it begrudgingly. And while you're retying your shoe, you'd probably be thinking, like, what's the matter with this guy? Why would he ask me that? So you're like, you're so well versed with tying your shoe that you're doing it without even really thinking about it, right? This was not always the case when we were a wee babe. Shoes, what are those? Laces? Huh? Make this string into a bow that is supportive and elegant? No, it was not something that was familiar to us. And as a result, tying your shoe, the first time you tried it, probably resulted in a knot. Unless you are a shoe tying prodigy. And the only difference in between then, knotting our lace, and now being able to tie our shoe while, doing probably most things, is this idea of familiarity. It's your mind and body, everything starts to become so familiar with the mechanics, the thought, the strategy in tying your shoe, that what happens? Tying your shoe starts to become second nature to you. It's something that just kind of shows up. It does not require a lot of effort or concentration. It just is. And tying your shoes is practical. We do it a lot, so that's a good thing. But this same output, the output of the more familiar you are with something, the more like readily it shows up without as much effort, is true for everything. And that is at the core of meditation. What we're doing with meditation is starting to train our mind to become familiar with things we want it to become familiar with. And the goal is to have it become so familiar with those things that, just like tying your shoe, those things start to show up without as much effort on our part. So let's take relaxation. This is the number one, far and away, reason people get into meditation. And when we meditate, we often might feel relaxed, and we might start to be like, oh, meditation relaxes me. Bingo. Meditation relaxes me. Meditation equals relaxation. But meditation in and of itself does not relax you at all. What it's doing is teaching you to become really familiar with your relaxed self. This version of you that is relaxed. Each one of us here has that version. We may want it to come out a lot more than it does, but we do have it. If we think back and honest with ourselves, there's been plenty of times we've been calm and relaxed. Meditation isn't creating that. It is merely a method of becoming so familiar with relaxed you that what happens? Same as tying your shoe or learning a new language or anything, it starts to become second nature. It starts to show up by default. Takes less effort to be relaxed. Right? This does work both ways. So if we think about something like anger, getting frustrated or whatnot, we don't really have to try very hard to get frustrated. We're having a great day, somebody says something, and we're frustrated. This isn't because we are inherently angry. It's just that our mind has had a lot of practice getting annoyed at things. And so it knows what to do when those things happen. It's had a lot less practice being super patient in those instances, right? And so much of our kind of day-to-day mood and experience throughout the day is based on what our mind is familiar with. And here with meditation, we are using it. It's not the only way to become familiar with things, but we're using it because it's a really wonderful tool to start to choose what we want to be familiar with in our life, and to have those things start to become a part of us, so much so that we don't have to try as hard for them to show up. Cool? Okay. So great. That sounds awesome. Great elevator pitch, Keith. How do we do it? So when you start learning meditation, almost always we start with something called breathing meditation. Breathing meditation is meditation where you're focusing on your breath. All meditation has a focus. It's often called the object of your meditation, which is kind of an odd word because not always an object. In fact, usually is not. In breathing meditation, the object of our meditation is our breath. And all that means is that we are choosing to focus single-pointedly, like exclusively only on our breath. Nothing else. Now, we humans are not nearly as familiar with focusing on one thing as focusing on 6 trillion things, because our mind, one of its kind of impressive abilities is this ability to kind of juggle things. And in terms of like getting stuff done, tasks or that, it's really good, right? We've had a lot of practice multitasking. We have not had a lot of practice focusing on one thing only, and that's it. That's not indicative of what our mind is capable of. It's again merely what we are familiar with, right? And so what we're doing here with meditation is we are purposely choosing to not multitask, to focus single pointedly on one thing, in this case, with breathing meditation, our breath. And whenever we notice that our mind is starting to drift and juggle some more thoughts, oh, what do I got to do later? Oh, that project's coming up. That's making me nervous. Whenever we notice those things, we're going to be like, not right now. That's like our attitude to it. Not right now. And those thoughts, they're not bad or unwanted or unhelpful, just not now. We're focusing on one thing, right? So we're just going to kind of say that and then bring our attention back to our breath. That kind of structure is how meditation works no matter what you are meditating on. We choose to focus on something single pointedly. We notice when we are no longer doing so, and we bring our attention back to that thing. Great news. You all have had many meditative experiences in your life, even if you've never meditated before. If you've ever felt like in the zone, flow state, cool way of saying it, like you're working on a project at work, right? You lose track of time. Your office mate who eats loudly, you're like, you don't hear that anymore. It's like it's gone. Your chronic knee pain. Forget your knee hurts, right? Being like fully single pointedly focused on something takes up a lot of space in your mind, and there's not as much room for the other stuff, right? And so we're going to kind of practice doing that intentionally with our breath, and giving our mind the opportunity to like not juggle a whole bunch of stuff. As you might imagine, our mind will be like, oh, this is easier, right? If you were juggling 100 bowling pins and then I said juggle one, you'd be like, oh, incredible, thank you. And so that results in kind of like a relaxed feeling. Right? Okay, so let's do a little breathing meditation together. You'll notice I am not on the floor. I am sitting in a chair from a discount furniture store. You too can aspire to sit in a chair from a discount furniture store, or you can lay down, or you can sit on the floor, or you can stand up, or do whatever you want. It does not matter. Just make sure you are relatively comfortable. That way, being uncomfortable is not something that's going to be at the forefront of your mind, right? And you can go ahead and close your eyes. This helps with some of the visual distractions that tend to crop up. And I'm going to guide us through about a 5 to 6 minute breathing meditation. Okay. Whenever we start a meditation, first things first, take a moment and check in with yourself. Actually ask, how am I feeling right now? What's my mind up to? Maybe you're feeling a little tired. It's been a long day. Maybe you're feeling energetic, excited to learn. Maybe you're feeling a little down, a little sad. Or maybe you're feeling happy. Whatever it is perfect. We are not trying to change anything. We're not trying to label something as bad or good. We're just noticing. This is a technique known as mindfulness, a word you have probably heard before. Mindfulness is an active awareness of your own thoughts, moment to moment, for the very specific purpose of being able to respond skillfully to your thoughts. Take a moment, check in. Having done that, you can now set an intention, make a choice. And that choice is to focus single pointedly, exclusively on your own breath to the best of your ability for the next couple of minutes. Let that promise, that choice sit in your mind. This is your only task. All the other things, they can wait. For the next few minutes, just you and your own breath. And with that promise, that wish, that choice made, you can act on it. You can turn your full, undivided attention to your own breath, breathing in and breathing out very gently, very naturally. There's no need to change anything about how you normally breathe. You don't have to take big, deep inhales or forcefully exhale air. Just breathe however comes natural, in and out. Following each breath. At some point, you may notice your mind is starting to drift a little bit. Maybe it's no longer exclusively focused on your breath, perhaps thinking about something you have to do later, or something that happened earlier today, or something you have to do tomorrow. Whenever you notice your mind drifting in this manner, we can just say, not right now, to those thoughts. We'll get to them later. You can actually imagine yourself picking up those thoughts and placing them beside you in the waiting room. And with those thoughts waiting patiently, you can choose once again to turn your full undivided attention to breathing in and out gently, naturally. Single pointedly focused on each moment of each breath. Each and every day, you breathe a lot of times. And of those countless times breathing, very rarely are we ever focused exclusively on breathing itself. What happens if we do? What happens if we follow our breath on a moment to moment basis? Every time you breathe in, I want you to imagine that you are watching the air being slowly pulled from the atmosphere towards you. Imagine it entering your body. Feel it move through you. Feel it settle in your lungs, your chest expanding to make room, your shoulders rising. This is breathing in. How wonderful. What about when you breathe outward? Can you feel your shoulders descend? Your chest contract? Can you watch as the air is gently pushed back through your body? Watch as it exits your body. It slowly starts to mix in with all the other pockets of air. Completely dissipating. This is breathing out. How wonderful. When we focus single-pointedly on something, we give ourselves the opportunity to notice some subtleties about that thing. Some subtle joys, some subtle interests, to develop a little fascination with whatever we're focusing on. Here you're learning to find some of the subtle, interesting things about your own breath. If you can learn to find some subtle joys in something as simple as breathing, I wonder where else in your day you can find subtlety. Breathing in, breathing out, gently and naturally. This process of choosing to focus single-pointedly on your own breath, noticing when your attention drifts, and being able to bring your attention back to focusing on your breath. That is breathing meditation. You are meditating right now. You are training your mind to focus on what you want to focus on. And in this moment, the only thing you want to focus on is breathing in and out gently, naturally. For the next few moments, just enjoy sitting here with your own breath. No need to think about too much. Just take a little time for you. You deserve it. Okay. Whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes. Hello. Welcome back to not meditating. Congrats. You did it. That was breathing meditation. 3 steps. Choosing to focus single pointedly on our breath, noticing when we're not, bring our attention back. Now, it doesn't just because it's 3 steps doesn't mean it's the easiest thing to do. And if this was your first time meditating, or you're brand new to it, or fairly new, it's very common to kind of have the experience of feeling like your mind is busier when you meditate, right? And that is actually you noticing how busy your mind is, right? Your mind does what it is familiar with. And when we're like, hey, mind, I got a great idea. You're going to focus on your breath. And your mind's like, okay, what else? And we're like, no, that's it. And mind's like, why? I can focus on 1 million things, right? And so our mind just doesn't really know what to do with focusing on one thing. And this can often lead to people feeling like they're not good at meditating. And we are all good at meditating equally. All right? We might be at different stages of like familiarity with focusing on one thing, but we are all good at it. We do it, even when we're not trying to sometimes. The goal with meditation, the only goal, is to meditate. It does not matter if your meditation is good or bad. Those things are like completely subjective and not really helpful. The core of learning to meditate comes from repetition, practice, consistency, even if that's 1 minute, 30 seconds a day, because that's how our mind learns. That's how our mind becomes familiar with things. So meditation is kind of a slow burn. When I first got I got into it for like clinical anxiety and stuff. I was like, all right, this is going to be great. I'm going to go meditate, and then I won't ever be anxious again. and well, that didn't work out exactly like I had planned, because meditation is a slow burn, but it is one that does lead to some really wonderful results. So be patient with yourself when doing this. Cool? That's breathing meditation. If you have any other questions on it, you can always feel free to ask me. I'm going to move on to our topic for today. And our topic for today is kind of looking at the two ways you, me, like understand things, know things. Weird phraseology. And I think one of the best examples that I can think of to show these two different types of things is as follows. You and I are having a cup of coffee together. Lovely. And I go, hey, let me ask you something. Hey, Lucia. I go, hey, let me ask you something. Can you explain to me how to drive a car? Like, how do I do it? And you have your coffee, you're like, why are you asking me this? I'm like, because I don't know how. And you could describe it to me. You can describe how to functionally drive a car. You have an intellectual understanding of this thing, and you can relay that to me in words. You can be like, okay, well, let's start with the brake. Pretty important. That's how you stop the car. And then this pedal over here, that's the gas that goes. That's the two main functions of a car: going and stopping. But there's also turning. There's the steering wheel. Like you could describe to me how to drive. I have the utmost confidence that you can. In fact, you could probably describe this to me even if you haven't ever driven. Let's say you were just like, I don't know, you were like just loved reading driving instructional manuals. And you knew everything about a car, the steering, this and that. You could explain it to me just as well. Oh, this is the gas pedal, maybe even better. This is the gas pedal, this is the brake, the steering wheel, whatnot. You got center rear view, like you could do that. Even if you've never driven, you could do that. What if I asked you, what does driving feel like? Huh? That might be the response. Like it's a weird question, right? And it's one that is different for everyone. There's not a definitive answer. Like the gas pedal is the gas pedal, you know? And so if I'm describing like how to drive, like that the functions are the same, but for what does driving feel like? That's very personal, right? And it's also something that is kind of hard to put into words. I don't really know how I would describe it, and nor do I think that however I would describe it would do it justice. Um, and so when we look at these two kind of questions and the response to them, the first one, how do I drive a car? You're like, okay, here's how you do it. And we're like, okay, well, that I explained that. And so I understand how to drive a car. And when I say, what does driving feel like? It's hard for you to explain. Does that mean you don't understand what driving feels like? You know what driving feels like. You know what driving feels like just as much as you know where the gas pedal is. You might not be able to put it into words, but you know it. You feel it. You've done it enough that it has a feeling to you. Being able to describe how to drive a car is intellectual understanding. Being able to know what driving feels like is like an experiential understanding. When these two are combined, we get a really deep familiarity with a thing. And when we're meditating, we're doing both of these things, right? First, we're kind of learning, well, how do we meditate, right? We talked a little bit about that today, but then we're actually doing it and experiencing it. And so if I were to ask you how to breathe, describe to me how to take a breath, you could do it. A weird question, but you could do it. You'd be like, okay, well, you like kind of suck in through your nose, like, I don't know, but you could just do it. You could tell me. But what does breathing feel like? I don't know, but you do know, right? And so there are countless things in our life that we have both an intellectual and experiential understanding of. And that does result in a really kind of deep knowing of that thing. I had a really interesting experience. I was teaching privately to this individual who I've been working with for a long time. And he wanted to talk about like AI and like how like meditating can relate to that. And we got into this really interesting discussion kind of about this. And I posited that an AI can't have an experiential understanding of something. So we asked it. And I asked it this question. So I asked, hey, how do I drive? And it described driving in excruciatingly boring detail. And then I asked, what does driving feel like? And a really interesting response, it was like, the AI was like, oh, well, I can't feel. So based on the way people describe it, it's either like a sort of like a this or sort of like a that, or like, but it couldn't do it. And so I was like, no, I don't want to know what other people say driving feels like. I want to know what driving feels like to you. And I couldn't do it. Because this is our human gift. The experiential understanding of something is our human gift, a personal one, but a gift, a beautiful one. And so for today, I want to do a meditation that we've done, plenty of times here. You probably have even heard of it, maybe. It's called mountain meditation. And the goal of the mountain meditation is to start to gain an experiential understanding of something about you in a way that doesn't require you to like actually do the thing, like actually go drive, right? And you might be like, well, how the heck can you have an experience of something without like doing it? Right? Your mind has this thing called imagination, and it is really good at it. Like, I don't, I don't want to say all of us. Most of us will never go to the moon, myself included, much to my dismay as a huge sci-fi fan. But I could go to the moon right now. Like, think about it, right? I have like a bunch of images of what I know is the moon, and I even like go in the spaceship and like what it kind of looks like and feels like. Like, I can kind of have an experiential experience of the moon without actually going, right? And if I did this enough, I too might gain a subjective, possibly incorrect, but there really is no correct answer. A subjective but true to me feeling of what going to the moon feels like. And then if I ever did go to the moon, I'd be like, whoa, this was a little bit more arduous. So we're going to do that with the mountain meditation. And the goal of the mountain meditation is to kind of think of ourselves as a mountain, to like actually put ourselves in the mind of a mountain, if we could, and we're going to kind of experience what it's like to be a mountain. And then we're going to kind of take that experience and see if we can extrapolate anything for our own lives there. Cool? All right. Once again, I invite you to get comfortable, be it a chair or bed or whatever. Go ahead and start sitting or laying or standing, whatever you want to do, and go ahead and close your eyes. And we're going to do mountain meditation, which is one of my favorites. Okay. Just take a moment and check in with yourself. How are you feeling right now in this exact moment? We're not comparing it to before. Before is done. Just now. Just noticing, observing our own mind. And having checked in, we can once again set a promise for this meditation, a choice to be made. And that choice, that promise, that intention is to fully engage in the mountain meditation, to use our imagination to its capacity for the purpose of being able to think about ourselves. Just let that promise sit. It's your only task. All the other things, they can wait. Plenty of time for them later. With that intention set, we can act on it and just follow along with what I'm saying and try to really put yourself there. I'd like you to bring to mind a mountain. Just put the scene in your mind. It's summer, and you are viewing the most majestic mountain you've ever seen. How tall is it? Is it wide? have sharp ridges, or is it more evenly graded? Really put yourself in this scene. What does your mountain look like? With your mountain firmly in your mind, we can imagine that it's summertime. The mountain is teeming with life, animals, vegetation, lush green, some wildflowers, perhaps some rivers and waterfalls on the mountain flowing heartily. Just imagine it. Summertime on your mountain. Summer will eventually turn into autumn. And with the changing seasons come changes for the mountain. Leaves start to change color. Animals start to get ready to hibernate. Some of the wildflowers have wilted. The conditions on the mountain have changed. The trees, the animals. Visually, the mountain has changed, but inside the mountain's core, unchanged. Same as it ever was. Autumn turns to winter, and with winter comes some harsh conditions on the mountain. Deep snows. All the animals have gone into hibernation. The rivers frozen over. All the leaves have fallen off the trees. It's cold. Harsh winds. The external conditions of the mountain have certainly changed. But inside at the mountain's core, it remains the same, same as it was in autumn, same as it was in summer. Winter will eventually give way to spring. The snow thaws. Vegetation starts to reemerge. Animals start to come out of hibernation. The rivers start flowing again. But with spring can come some severe thunderstorms. And one day, the mountain is experiencing a severe thunderstorm, and a bolt of lightning strikes the side of the mountain. So powerful that it cracks the earth. The conditions have changed once again, and here we can see visually that the mountain has changed. It now has a crack in it. But deep in the mountain's core, there is no crack. The mountain is immovable, same as it was in winter, same it once was in autumn, same as it was in summer. Mountains are extremely resilient. They, like us, are affected by external conditions, the things happening around us, changing seasons. But the mountain itself weathers these storms, these changes, and it does so knowing that at its core, it is the same. We too have the ability to embody the resilience of mountains. We have the ability to weather the external experiences in our life, while knowing that deep in our core, we are unchanged, we are still our kind, happy, loving, curious self. What a gift. So the last few moments here, just embody what it feels like to be a mountain, whatever that is to you. Just sit with those feelings. Okay. Whenever you are ready, you can open your eyes, transform into your non-mountain form. Welcome back to your non-mountain form. That's mountain meditation. As the name might imply, we use mountain, but you don't have to. If you don't like mountains, you can do anything, lake or ocean or literally anything. The idea here is to use our mind and our intellectual understanding of something. Like, we know what a mountain looks like, even if we've never been to one, right? We can use that to then kind of like embody that thing to start to encourage some experiential understanding of that as well. And in this particular meditation, I was focusing on how mountains, they are like very, they are impacted by external conditions, but only like surface level. Their core remains, and that's a really cool thing to kind of try to embody, because we can't control all of the external changes that happen in our day, in our life, right? The changing seasons, if you will. Those things are going to happen, but you, like the core of us, can remain, right? Even if it's a harsh condition, even if it's not, right? So I think it's just like a really cool thing to do, to like try to be a mountain. So hopefully you found that to be enjoyable or thought provoking or one of those things or anything other positive. If so, great. Come on back next week where we'll do another meditation thing. I don't know what the topic will be, but it'll have meditation in it. Thank you to anyone who has subscribed during this this session or has done so previously or chooses to do so later. Is extremely helpful for me, and it lets other people kind of know that this is something that maybe is interesting and they might get to experience it just like you are. So thank you if you're doing that. And then finally, if you are like, hey, I really liked being a mountain, we can do private like one-on-one meditation instruction. I do offer that. If that is interesting to you, you can email me and we can find a time to get together. I do everything like virtually. It's very kind of laid back, right? So if that's something that might be appealing to you, just reach out and we'll find a time to get together. Here's my email, keith@meditationbreaks.com. I know I don't have to say .com, but it's fun, so I do it. There it is. That's my email. Email me if you're interested in maybe doing a one-on-one or you have some questions about meditation I didn't even get to, or something comes up as you're trying it on your own. Norma, thank you. It means a lot to me. Patricia, thank you very much. Tracy, thank you. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. And a special thank you to everyone here. I really love teaching and it brings a lot of joy to my life. And so many of you come here every week and choose to spend your legitimately precious time with me, and that is really cool. So a lot of gratitude towards all of you. Thank you for taking the time to be here with me, and I hope you have a wonderful week, and I shall see you next time. Bye-bye.